Hello everyone, Tactical Lich here. Today we have a battle replay sent in by Nameless Order playing against Sigurs. This is a Beastmen versus High Elf battle, where Nameless Order playing as a Beastman is trying to secure the high ground in the middle of this Alpine Ridge map, going for a vanguard deployment of a lot of Zangors and some Angor spears flanking them. They do have shields as well, so that offers them a little bit more protection against the High Elf archers. For the mobility and monsters, we have some Butchers of Kalkengard, Minotaurs with great weapons. In the skies, we have a single Feromentacle unit. They are led by a Doom Bull with his Dazed Contact effect. In the forest, there's a single unit of Brave Shaman of Wild with his Traitorkin, a very staple spell for the Wild caster, and also Brave Scream to clear out the High Elf infantry. Now, for the faster mobility, we have the Grookhoofs of Wolf's Run, Regiment of Renowned Centaurs with Throwing Axes, who also have poison and the regenerating trait, Drunken Bravado, providing that heal that doesn't have any weakness to fire as well. And in the forest, also Vanguard deployed, we have some Centaurs ready to unleash an ambush on the High Elf back line. For the High Elves, we have some Skirmish Cavalry, Heralds of the Wind, and Illyrian Reaver Archers. And then, for the High Elf infantry formation, a very standard box of the Staunch line of spears, a line of Silveran Guard guarding the High Elf Loven Sea God, 5 of them in total actually, providing a ton of archer fire that can also fight in melee with their spears. Leading the army would be Imric on his dragon, plus a single Mage of Life to provide all those regrowths and earth bloods. That's it for the army build, and now let's get the battle started. Now, despite the Beastmen got the high ground advantage, it's actually not that effective in this instance because the High Elves actually conceded the high ground entirely, putting their spear box quite far back against the Beastmen rush. So the High Elves still have some breathing room to do a bit of skirmishing there, using the Heralds of the Wind and the other Illyrian Reaver Archers to hopefully poke down some of these Centaurs with throwing axes. Their light armor means that the archer fire can be quite effective. However, the Beastmen rush is in progress. All the Zangors and Angor spears are rushing towards their targets here. Though the Silveran Guards, because the Illyrian Reaver Archers are fulfilling the attacking role, the spear box was able to just pull back, while the Heralds of the Wind and Illyrian Reaver Archers continues to poke away at the Beastmen. Though the Teen Barrier here is basically just mitigating all that incoming archer fire, wasting the arrow shots from the Illyrian Reaver Archers. We'll be doing a bit of fast forward here as the skirmishing phase continues. The Loven Sea Guard are holding position, peppering down the Beastmen formations with a bit of archer fire as well. So the Beastmen are just pulling back, waiting for the Teen Barrier to recharge, while over here the Vanguard deployed Centaurs have sprung an ambush on the Illyrian Reaver Archers. Now, very nice micro from the High Elf player here, splitting the 2 units of Illyrian Reaver Archers, one of them moving away the faster Heralds of the Wind, who can actually outrun the Centaurs with their 105 speed, being one of the fastest, if not the fastest, ground cavalry in this entire game. And they're actually pulling a very ballsy move. They're slipping through the gaps between the Angor spears and Centaurs. The pursuing throwing axes Centaurs are trying to catch up, but most of the Heralds of the Winds were able to get out of that encirclement and pull back into safety. Yes, they took some losses, but definitely not enough to lose the entire unit. The rest of the Zangors, though, because of all that micro on the left side of the High Elf formation, the right side of the High Elf formation is lacking in terms of attention. And now the Angor spears are coming in, and the Butchers of Kalkengard, Zangors, they are all just rushing towards the right flank of the High Elves. Some of the Angor spears are even flanking around, with the Silveran Guard a little bit too late to react. These Angor spears, a very nice micro there from the Beastmen, going into a more blocky formation, reducing the width of the Angor spear unit, allowing them to squeeze through the gaps between the High Elf defenses and get on top of the Loven Sea Guard, shutting down their shooting. The Angor spears that managed to flank around are also dragging the Loven Sea Guards at the back into melee, silencing the High Elf missiles. The Doombull also plunged into the middle of a bunch of Loven Sea Guard, and at this point, most of the Loven Sea Guards, except that one on the very far side, are unable to shoot. The Silveran Guards can hold the line, but they need the archers to do the damage for them. Imric has engaged into the front line, where he used his breath attack and his power in melee to just break down these Butchers of Kalkengard, but Butchers still having 13 models left, they can regenerate some of their HP, while the Great Weapon Minotaurs are clashing in, trying to use their armor-piercing anti-large damage to really hunt down the High Elf Dragon. Silver Guard desperately trying to support their lord, but with so much value piling onto this engagement, their holding power is not quite enough. Even their armor will be mitigated by all that armor-piercing damage from the Minotaurs. At the back there, some Lofen Seaguard has been broken down by the Dangors, and the Angor Spears continue to collapse the High Elf backline. The Centaurs were also fighting in melee, doing some pretty nice rear charging and disrupting the High Elf backline. Now a bit of a Traitorkin overcast? No, it is just a normal cast, draining the health of Imrik. On top of that, dazed contact effect from the Doombull was able to debuff Imrik's melee stats, allowing the Minotaurs with great weapons surrounding him to really put down the hurt onto this very, very expensive High Elf piece. Now, the Loven Seaguard, all of them has been shut down. Actually, wait, some of them managed to pull back into safety, but then here comes the Angor Spears, once again disrupting their shooting, while the Butchers continues their pursuit against Imrik. Imrik might be able to get back into the skies. It depends if the Butchers continue their pursuit, but seems like they gave up their chase, being distracted by the Loven Seaguard, allowing Imrik to go back into the sky. He'll drop down another breath attack, devastating these Butchers with the fire damage from the breath attack, doing some pretty nice damage overall, but he cannot actually go back down into this engagement yet. Since the Doombull is still around with the support of the Butchers, yeah, they can easily just break down Imrik if he dares to even land. At the back there, group of Wolf's Run still being rather healthy, 55 unit models left, and these Centaur throwing axes will be coming in to chuck armor-piercing missiles at Imrik. Imrik doesn't really have an answer to this right now because the Elari Reaver Archers are still on their way, while the Lofen Seaguard at the back there is once again disrupted by the Angor Spears, unable to fire at the Beastmen Skirmish Cav. Now, the Elari Reaver Archers are getting close enough to shoot at the Centaurs, but the Centaurs are just ignoring them, chugging everything they can at Imrik, trying to work through his regrowth healing. The Silver Guard and Loven Seaguard are providing that anti-large infantry support, but they can't really do much about the Centaurs with throwing axes since they are just infantry and can't really have the speed to catch up with the skirmish cav. If anything, the Loven Sea Guards should turn on guard mode and start shooting at the Centaurs to counteract those Beastmen armor-piercing firepower. But alas, the Centaurs have pulled out of range while the Angors are still at their heels, preventing them from utilizing their ammo. Now over here, Silver Guard and Loven Seaguard being piled on by a bunch of Zangors, Angors, and the Butchers of Kalkengard. The Doombull is fighting along his fellow cows, applying the dazed effect, making the spear line a little less staunch, though Imrik is here applying pressure on the Beastmen units. With the Silver Guard supporting him, he should be doing fine. You can see the Butchers are down to 5 unit models as the Spear's anti-large bonus is slowly wearing down the lightly armored Beastmen units over time. The armor of the Silver Guard will help them against the non-armor piercing Dangors, but they will not be able to handle the Doombull too well, who does have enough mass to just push through the High Elf infantry, get onto the intended target, which is Imrik and his dragon, plus a Traitorkin draining the health of all the units of High Elves in the vicinity. Imrik is taking more and more damage, but the Silver Guard with their spell resistance should be fine. Though Doombull himself, being debuffed by Lord of Dragons, is taking quite a bit of hurt from the Dragon's melee attack. Silver Guards are also poking at him with their pointy sticks, so he needs to get out of there as soon as possible. On the far side, Butchers have returned to the fight as their regeneration continues to top up their HP, giving them a bit more confidence to join into combat once again. And the group of Wolf's Run, the Centaurs with throwing axes are all closing in, trying to get some axes onto Imrik. Another regrowth has just finished healing off Imrik, and Imrik is pretty much heal capped. No more healing for Imrik. That means whatever's left in the Winds of Magic pool will have to go into the infantry, the Silver Guard, Loven Seaguard, and the Mage of Life herself. That means Imrik needs to be really careful about his engagement. He cannot waste any more of his hit points. He needs to fight among the support of spears, which he is doing exactly that right now, returning to the vicinity of the Silver Guards now, trying to push through the Angors, terrifying some Zangors in the vicinity as well. getting some good job done, but unfortunately the Silvern Guard were not able to help out the Loven Sea Guard, who is now collapsed by a ton of the Centaurs with throwing axes, being terrified by the Butchers of Kalkengard being nearby. I remember the Dumbo doesn't have terror. Yeah, he doesn't have terror, so it has to be the terror from the Butchers of Kalkengard that pushes off the Loven Sea Guard. Now the Silvern Guards are still fighting valiantly, but balance of power is in the favor of the Beastmen now. Perhaps with enough healing, the High Elves can pull this back. We shall see. Especially with the Zangors being rather low, the Silvern Guard might just be able to outgrind the Beastmen infantry in the end. However, Butchers of Kalkengard still fighting with regeneration, so they will be supporting the fight against all these armored entities of the High Elf roster. Another Lord of Dragons here debuffing the Butcher's stat. Very nice use of the ability of Imric right there, but it seems that Imric might have his eyes on the Butchers of Kalkengard, which might be a mistake. If he dives in right now, the Centaurs will be able to chuck more armor-piercing shots onto him. No, oh no, this is bad. While Imric can put some hurt onto Butchers of Kalkengard, here comes a lot of entities from the Beastmen piling onto Imric, trying to pin down the dragon. The Dumbo is in as well, deploying that dazed effect onto Imric. On top of that, the dazed speed debuff combined with the poison speed debuff slowed Imric down to 40 speed. With everything surrounding him, there's no chance Imric can get out of this engagement alive, being so slow and weak. The Heralds of the Wind are too depleted to bail out their lord, so all they can do is just witness the death of Imric. The only things left holding for the High Elves are the Silvern Guard. That is not enough for the High Elves to claw their way back, as the Butchers of Kalkengard can just pile onto this one lone unit of the Silvern Guard, especially the Lord Dead debuff on the leadership is really putting a dent in the morale of the Silvern Guards. Their leadership do not hold up against the terror effect of the Butchers since they do not have immune to psychology, and that shall be the victory for the Beastmen. GG to both Nameless Order and Sigos for this very close game. It was really down to the wire, though unfortunately one last mistake from Sigos there cost him the victory, as Imric was not able to escape from the double speed debuff, the poison from the Groot Hooves, and the dazed effect from the Dumbo. Being locked down on the ground, he was surrounded and beaten up, without access to any healing as he has reached his heal cap. So in the end, Imric, despite pulling his own weight, was not able to carry the game there. Silvern Guard did quite fine though, earning back most of their value, grinding through a ton of Beastmen units. Unfortunately, the Loven Sea Guard did not pay for themselves as they were overwhelmed and locked down by a ton of the Beastmen infantry. One of them earned back their value, but that's about it. The Illyrian Reaver Archers did some okay work, but nothing too amazing. And on the other side, for the Beastmen, Dumbo did fine. As usual, the Traderkin caster did some solid damage against the High Elves, especially draining the health of Imric. Minotaurs didn't do that much damage, but the fact that the Butchers of Kalkengard survived till the late game allowed them to apply the terror onto the weakened High Elves units, making them run earlier than they should. The rest of the Beastmen army did pretty meh. One of the Zangors did great, the others not so much, while the armor-piercing Centaurs with throwing axes did a lot of damage to Imric over time, earning back their value and then some more. The melee Centaurs also did some very good work against the High Elf units, disrupting their backline and chasing down routed units. And yeah, that's it for today's battle. Thank you for watching. Big thanks to Nameless Order for sending in this replay, and I'll see you in the next one. Tactical Itch, signing out.